12 days of dullness, 12 days of dullness, 12 days of dullness, woo!
I'll give it to someone special.
Hey guys, it's Reagan
and Quinn, and we're sorry for the buzzing, humming in the background. It's just a heater because it's literally freezing in our basement right now.
So we just got a whole bunch of stuff from Hobby Lobby, and we're going to be using it to set up our dollhouse.
So let's
get started.
Okay, so today we are going to be doing the floors, and what we're going to be using for that is just some scrapbooking paper, and this is just a nice light wood grain. It's a 12 by 12 piece of paper, and to apply that we are going to be using some Mod Podge, and then we are also going to be using these foam brushes.
And we'll also be adding some new bedding. This is just one piece of fabric, however we won't be really working too hard on that, but we can kind of give you a sneak peek. But we have different fabric for each room. And also, if you notice it's kind of dark in the video, it's dark because it's dark outside. So
it's mystery solved.
It's a little later than we normally would film. Alright, so what we're doing is just laying out the paper, and what I'm going to do, since there's extra space over here, I'm just going to lie this flat against the wall and then mark a line where I'm going to need to cut the paper straight across so that I can fit it over there. Now that I've drawn my line of where to cut, it is time to
Snip, snip.
And one thing that's kind of important to do when you do this is actually, when you're drawing the line, measure the amount you want to cut before, and with a ruler, then drag your ruler down to here and measure it again. But don't flip the ruler and don't flip the paper. That way you make sure your line will stay straight and in the same amount of space away from the edge as it was before.
Alright, so we finally finished the measuring portion, which only took us like 45 minutes.
But it should go quicker from now on since we know how big the room is. Or at least for these two. The other two rooms are different. Other 4 rooms are all different sizes, so.
Yeah. But anyways, I think it looks really good. It took about 4 pages, 3 and like 3/4 pieces of the scrapbook paper. Yeah, it was really cheap to use scrapbook paper. It was much cheaper than I think using contact paper. And
it
looks
easy too.
Yeah. Most.
This clip of the video is not a tutorial. Do not follow this yet. Stay tuned and find out if it's worthwhile.
We don't really know what we're doing. So now that we have everything laid out right where we want it, and we've made as many duplicates as we need for the different rooms, we're going to Mod Podge it, and we're just going to use one of these sponge foam brushes, which you can get from the dollar store, which is where we got ours. And what we're going to do is glue the back side and then glue it down, and then later we're going to go over and put the Mod Podge over the tops of them as well.
And we'll keep you updated to see if it actually works. So in the next clip, I guess you'll find out.
So we just finished Mod Podging both of these rooms, and we finished with the wood and everything, and it looks really good.
I will say that this one's definitely significantly worse than this room down here. This is our second try and this is our first try, but the second try is also a little uneven around the edges, which we can always trim off. But definitely I'd recommend trying to start your first one on a room you care less about if you're doing a dollhouse, and then do the one you like best last or just later on, because the first time you do it you might not get it as well as you want it to be, and the second time might be a lot better, and that's definitely the case with us. So we'd say we Mod Podged to the bottom of it, and then we Mod Podged over it, and it worked out pretty well. But use a thin layer of Mod Podge,
especially on like the bottom. Make sure it's very thin, because if you do too thick, as you can see we kind of have here, there are too many wrinkles, and that kind of comes from having too much Mod Podge on the bottom.
And also don't like push it too hard, because once again this is scrapbook paper. If you use contact paper, it might be a little different, but since we use scrapbook paper, this is paper, so it can easily just bleed through.
Because when you go over glue on both sides, it's almost like it's wet, and you just have to be really careful.
Yeah. That's all.
But are you really happy with it?
Yeah. we'll update you all tomorrow or whenever we next update this video.
Woo! Alright, so just a quick update. I have measured for the smaller rooms and I have all the paper laid out. And then I have all the other pieces for the other 3 rooms that are the same size. So I'm getting ready to glue down this room and I'll get back when everything is done. Alright, so for some reason you decided to use this as a tutorial. Here's just some quick thing. So once it dries, it'll dry flat. But when it's like wet still, as you can see, it has a whole bunch of wrinkles all over it. Especially this top one has a lot of wrinkles, as you can see. But those should all flatten out as the paper dries. As you can see, because this top room is completely dry. And if you look at it here, it's super flat looking compared to this bumpy one. Alright, so it is day 3 of the flooring process. And today we are working on the living room, and then we're going to see what we can do on the bottom rooms. But we're not really sure how we're going to do those yet, since it is the actual floor we're working with.
Yeah. I unfortunately couldn't be here yesterday, so it wasn't really much of a surprise. But so far it looks pretty good, and these have definitely already flattened out since you last saw them.
They're all flat.
So I definitely recommend this method. It's working out pretty well so far.
And it looks pretty even down there.
Yeah, and we'll definitely be filming a dollhouse tour once this is done. We actually already filmed one, but we're going to film another one since before this we didn't have any of this stuff done. So, 12 days of Dollmas. 12 days of Dollmas. 12 days of Dollmas.
12 days of Dollmas. Alright, and if you are following this as a tutorial, make sure, because when you glue down, it doesn't really stay, but an easy way to do this is just put some more Mod Podge on your brush and kind of put it on the corners and just make sure to press down and then kind of cover with a bit more Mod Podge, and it'll help all the corners stay down. And you can do this to all the corners. It's what I do, and then I just kind of like squeeze it on there, and then after putting some Mod Podge, usually the corner will stay down pretty nicely. We just finished putting the bottom room down. We just taped it to the floor and then Mod Podged, but we actually ran out of paper, so one room is without flooring for right now, but we're eventually going to go out and get some more scrapbooking paper. It should only take like 3 sheets or something.
And we'll probably update you tomorrow or the day after that, just showing you how if this dried or not well with the tape, and if it's a successful method as well. But so far everything's been looking good. So this is also what it should look like while it's drying. So you can kind of see it's kind of like wavy, like it's wet. So it'll dry, it'll be more flat like the room below it.
As you can see, this room is very flat now.
Yeah. Keep you updated.
Alright, so we definitely didn't go through with keeping you updated, seeing as it's like almost 2 months later that I'm doing this voiceover, but we added in this table. As you can see, we are just painting it, or should I say Reagan is. But this really has nothing to do with the room renovation. It just looks a lot better now. But like I said before, we didn't keep you updated, and these next clips you end up seeing are of the finished dollhouse. Like I said, 2 months later, so it's quite messy, and we have couches in there so I couldn't get a good view. But you get the general gist.